digest. From lane to the new shining ground, echo chants where the legends are found. Heroes carved in the heart of time, we march on through grit and grime. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Echoes of King and Greaves in the air. Every goal, the sound declares. Heartbeats pound like a drummer's song, marching forward, fierce and strong. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire.
Hi guys and welcome to THFC Till We Die. Used to be Till I Die. It's now changed to Till We Die. And as we bring you final score as Liverpool humbled, absolutely trounced the mighty Tottenham Hotspur by 5-1 and went on to win the 2024-2025 Premier League season. Firstly, can I say congratulations to Liverpool, to all the fans, everyone connected with the club, absolutely richly deserved. I know there's a fellow Liverpool YouTuber who lives in the same town as I live in, who I yet to meet, but I do watch some of his stuff. He is funny. But yeah, it is. Congratulations to him. But Steve, it's not about Liverpool, it's about Tottenham Hotspur. And it was a shambolic, embarrassing defeat again. Of course, we've got the semi-final on Thursday. That's what everyone's focusing on. So, look, I want to ask the start of this. Are you surprised by the defeat with Thursday in mind? But are you like me? Enough is enough now. Come on. We can't take this anymore. Look, the Premier League season's done with now. Just let's all get behind the team for Europa League win. I think it has to be now, isn't it?
To answer your question, no, I'm not surprised. And I saw this one on the horizon after the Forest match, and you saw the rotation of how that was set up. So we kind of knew there was going to be rotation in this one. And sure enough, there was Danso and Davies. Pedro Porro was out. What was it? Betancourt was out, and Odegaard was out as well too. So we knew there was going to be a rotation from that standpoint. But also, you know, if we're being honest with ourselves, Spurs have been out of the league since essentially November.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Yeah, and you know, and then of course we dealt with one of the most horrific injury crises we've had in quite some time, where, you know, we lose essentially 8 or 9 of the first team just at the same time, and it progressed slowly downhill from there. But by the time some of these guys did get back, we were already out of 2 cup competitions, and the only platform left to actually win something was Europa League. And it just seems that the players have put all their eggs in that basket while the league was awash. That to me, if there's any animosity towards that from my standpoint, it's the fact that you've given up, you've laid down, and regardless of whether or not you can get back into the league or not, you can still have pride and show fans that you're still fighting. Europa League or not. And it's like, I understand, man, historically we're terrible at Anfield. I understand it, but you can still go there and still give them a game, and you can still make them work for it. And if they beat us, fair enough, man. But to lay down in the manner in which they laid down, and I'm sure we're going to get into the numbers, and that literally paints that picture. But as far as the only thing, as far as enough is enough, the only reprieve is like after the semifinal, I think there's only 3 matches left in the season. Yeah. And this thing can finally be over. Because I'm looking forward to the summer transfer shows. It's just to me it's not anger, it's disappointment, because I hate to use this term, but there's players on this team that are flat out losers. And I hate to say
it's not anger. I think it's more frustration. I think you hit the nail on. David Clark did respond to me at the end of the watch along. I still disagree with what you said, David, but look, that's here no here. We're all angry, frustrated. And I'm still entitled to have what I want to say and how I feel as a Spurs fan. I want to welcome a few people in as well. Big up to Michael McDonald, the big Celtic fan. Big up, Mick. Hope you're doing well. So it's good luck, lads and lasses. But remember, your season isn't about today. It's about Europe, which is it's a very valid point, a very good point as well. Big up to Eugene as well. Hi up, big up everyone. Hashtag Levy out. And he says 19 and counting. Yet today we did equal the record of and Wayne comes in. That just was about to give a stat out, but Wayne comes in there. To stop performing in the league is unforgivable. I agree with you. Winning the Europa League won't make that any better. Poor is poor. Shit is shit. Wayne, look, you and me have been fans, I think, around the same time, sir. From the early 80s, and you don't give up on the league. I mean, I'm going to bring the league table up now, Steve. I found it on X. I've rarely enhanced it, so it only shows where we are in the league, and I hope that come across. I don't know if people can see that all right, but I can. Look, if you look from, say, Man United downwards, right? How lucky we were that Southampton, Leicester, and Ipswich were shit this season. Because we could be going into the last 3 games of the season fighting to stay up if Ipswich and Leicester and Southampton weren't shit.
You're right. You would think that they would play harder knowing they're in a relegation scrap. 100%.
Is it because we can't get Europe, we can't go down, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter where.
100%.
But it does matter. It matters the money wise, as we discussed the other day. You and me, I think me, Steve, or me, James. I can't remember. But there's something like 6 million difference between finishing 17th and 14th. And also pride. Surely pride should come into it, thinking, right, we've got 3 games left. Let's win these last 3 games. Let's make it 3 out of 3.
Yeah. Listen, man, from a player's perspective, I can tell you that, pride doesn't factor in it, and there's no difference between 13th and 16th. It's still a bad result regardless of where you finish. Yeah. And I would probably assume that with certain players, that's their mentality. Like there's no difference between 13th and 16th. But for a Spurs side to not even reach the 40-point plateau, good Lord.
We haven't done this since 92, 93 when Ozzy Ardiles was in charge. And I will get that league table up as well, actually. If you give me a few minutes, I will bring it up. The Premier League title, the Premier League table of that season. Where do you think it went right for us today? Is there any way in today that made you think, do you know what? I've seen some size of improvement, or I've seen some side of players that can do it. So where are you on that?
I think they started the match fine.
Mm.
They looked like they were pumped up to play Liverpool. They get a great goal from Dom Solanke off a set piece, off a corner, and it looked like that team had, all of a sudden had gained some momentum, had potentially taken the Anfield crowd out of it. But as soon as Liverpool equalized, that was it. That was it. And you saw heads drop. You saw the life of the life get sucked right out of them, and for there, from there it was off to the races for Liverpool. And it's just amazing. It's amazing what one goal will do to change the attitude of these players. And it's like, well, such is life.
I mean, that's the 92-93 season, right?
Yeah.
93-94 season where we've now equaled Aussie Idealists' loss record. I mean, we reached 45 points that season. I mean, we did reach 45 points because we beat Oldham. But look at the bottom. Isn't it funny? Southampton and Ipswich.
Yep.
How ironic is that, by the way?
That's funny that Oldham Athletic was I would love to. I would look at that. Swindon. Was that Swindon Town?
Yeah.
Wow. And so they relegated 5 from the bottom. Okay.
Yeah. But that was the year that they readjusted.
There was 22 teams. Yeah, they had 22 teams in the league. Yeah.
So
but the constant though was Southampton, man. They've always been that team that circled the drain, haven't they?
Look, even Man City were down there. I mean, that's everything. I mean,
look at Chelsea. Look at Chelsea with 51 points. Oh, that's awesome.
But have we gone back to this team? Has Tottenham league-wise gone back to where we were in the 90s? This is why I brought it up, just to ask that question. Has Levy, when Levy took over the club in 2000, he brought them to the heights. Are we now gone back to where we were before Levy and then it took us over?
It's hard. Well, that's a very good question. And again, it gets back to the whole identity talk again. Because the reason why we've regressed is because we cannot just stick with one direction and see it out, whether it's for good or for the good or for the bad. For whatever reason, at the first sign of adversity, we have to make a change. And it does not give any time for consistency. It does not give any time for continuity. It doesn't even give time for working your way back from a shitty situation. And I would probably assume that Ange is probably going to be gone. Okay. Then what's going to happen in 18 months when the next manager runs into a little bit of adversity? Are we going to do the exact same thing? And it's like, listen, it's very rare that Tottenham, and it's not like Tottenham's hired bum coaches. We've actually hired some very, very good coaches, only to see the exact same thing happen, right? And that is a clear sign of a club that has no direction, that has no leadership, and does not and will not accept. It will not accept anything less than, well, if you're not finishing in the top 4, I can't have it. And it's like, well, listen, not every single year is going to play out the exact same way. That's number one. But also number two, when you go in this direction, when you go into the direction of prioritizing youth and you play youth, you have to realize that you're going to have inconsistent performances from top to bottom. But that being said, when you go in that direction, you also surround that youth with proven talent. That's where this team lacks. It does not lack any type of leadership. What's funny is I was actually having this conversation with a buddy of mine, and we were talking about when Alex Ferguson finally got it right at Manchester United. And you look at that young core of academy players that came through, the David Beckhams of the world, the Neville brothers, and you look at just exactly what Ferguson did. He actually had no problem relying on academy products, but look at who he surrounded him with. Look at the talent that they brought in to surround him with, the Teddy Sheeringhams of the world, the Eric Cantonas of the world. So the idea is like, if you're going to go in that direction, you want to take as much pressure off these young kids as much as possible. And it's just when we see this team, and it has nothing to do with the youth at all. As a matter of fact, I'm actually pretty proud of our youth this year.
Yeah, I am too. I am too.
But it's the leadership or the lack thereof where they're absolutely not accountable. And so when you see us down in the league, when I look at it, I'm like, where are the leaders of this team, and why aren't they accountable for these performances? James Madison should be ashamed of himself. Ben Davis, for Christ's sake, who has been around this club for a decade now. Where's the accountability from a dude like Ben Davis? It absolutely boggles my mind.
It boggles my look. I went on to X right while you were talking, and everything you say I agree with, by the way, because you make some valid points there. But I wanted to go on to X, right? Firstly, I was contacted by a Liverpool fan, actually contacted X and said, I feel your pain, I feel your sorrow, and you will get it right. And I just responded in, congratulations on winning the league seat, winning the championship, best team this year. And to get that from a Liverpool fan, and she was being very genuine in what she was saying. I think that's what football fans is about. They're busy celebrating the league, but she took time out to message us to say, I feel your pain. I see the pain you're going through as a club. And you have to tip your hat off to some Liverpool fans like that. 99% of them are genuine, nice people. They're genuine, but it's a minority of everything. It's a minority of life. But I'm just, this question was put up, right, by Spurs Away. And it was asked, should Ange Postecoglou be sacked before the Europa League semi-final? Yes.
I've been thinking.
Yes,
I've been thinking about it too, right? So it's like, let's just say that Ryan Mason is in there. Is this team, because if the narrative is that this team has put all their eggs in the basket of the Europa League and they're going to show up and they're going to try hard, they're going to put forth a performance. Does it really matter who's on the touchline?
No, not really. Not in my.
Because Ryan Mason is probably going to stick with the formation, the tactics of Ange Postecoglou. You would just probably assume he did that. He did that with Mourinho and Conte and all that. So you would think that just for continuity's sake, that the Spurs would line up in that same formation and try to play the exact same way. But if that is true, and then we're just assuming that these players are going to show up, does it matter if it's Ryan Mason or does it matter if it's Ange Postecoglou?
I don't think it does matter anymore. It doesn't matter. I don't think it does, because the player's mentality is you could have Jose Mourinho on the touchline, and I think the Spurs players still give you the same.
By the way, if Jose Mourinho is on the touchline and this was the effort that these players put forth, none of these guys would be playing in Europa. None of these guys would be playing in Europa.
And you do feel sorry for Ange in a way, because of what these players, they're throwing them under a bus, basically. They're saying, right, we're not going to try for you in the league, but we will try for you in the Europa League. You can't have it both ways. We've both said it quite consistently that the league is much as important as anything. I've got a few comments to go through here, Steve. Also, I want to ask you a question on, I don't know if you watched the boxing last night, but
I did not.
There was a,
but I did see the still pictures of Tottenham Hotspur lit up red, and that actually kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah, The fight between the Arsenal fan and the Tottenham boxers. He came out to North London forever. But the Spurs fan did win. And he to celebrate, we've got glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur bouncing around the stadium. Look,
Good,
you can't
good.
help. They only book the arena out, so they have no say in what they're doing, what they're not doing. I get it. It did, but I just
Well,
think
they do actually. They do. You can book out a stadium with stipulations that, hey, listen, man,
yeah.
you know, you're not gonna light our stadium up red. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. I get you. But yeah, so we got what happened with Antonio Rudiger? Why is he apologizing? He's Real Madrid, isn't he?
Antonio Rudiger? Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
I don't know. He says a Steph. I don't know what happened to the game last night. I don't know what happened to Real Madrid Barcelona last night. Big up Boris. He said it shows us what we need to replace and rip out the
100%.
club instead of just passion over. I agree with that, Boris, 100%.
100%.
So big up
100%.
tonight's Republic. Big up, young man. Hope you're doing well. I hope your leg is feeling better. It says, look, I'm not telling fans how to support Spurs. Me personally, I'm sick of this Europa League talk. So am I. I've heard it all season. The Carling Cup, FA Cup, always about the next game. This is how the club falls. He goes on. He does go on to say something. Big up to Daniel. Dermo, straight up, this is beyond defending anymore. We literally become everyone's bitch in the Premier League. I kind of find that funny. I am sorry, Spurs fans. You can try and hide behind Europa League. Except, yeah, exactly. Look, if he was to be sacked tonight, I don't think there'd be no complaints, to be fair, Steve.
I don't think it would be a surprise either.
I don't think it would be a surprise. I think the surprise would be before. I mean, I was speaking to Philip Brady before we did this show, and he was saying to me Thursday's more important. I get that. But you can't sacrifice one for the other. You've got to be in it for all. So it's Daniel right in what he's saying here. We're trying to escape reality behind the Europa League as a way of saying hiding what we're going through, hiding the pain of where we are in the league.
I can't speak for you, Derma, but my eyes are wide open. I actually understand that this team has massively underperformed, and I'm not trying to paint over the fact that this has been just one of the shittiest seasons in club history. So from that standpoint, I'm not hiding behind anything.
No, but I'm not saying you and me are.
Oh,
I'm
no,
not saying you and me are.
But what I do know is that we are in a semifinal of a competition, and that does still matter. But that being said, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm not like, my eyes are wide open. I know exactly what I see, and what I see is one of the worst performances that I think I've ever seen. And I don't. Here's what's funny is, like, when others question Ange Postecoglou, that's fine. But my fingers are pointed straight at the players, because they're the ones that are responsible for this massive failure.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you and me. That wasn't at you, by the way. Maybe I asked the question wrong. My question was more of a overall thing. Are all fans? Are some fans using the Europa? I'm not trying to dig them out, but I think we all.
I think to some context,
that's why I was more getting that. Sorry.
Yeah, because I think a lot of fans, and again, I don't want to speak for fans, but I think a lot of fans are so desperate for a trophy that they're willing to gloss over the league performance, because we're like, a trophy is right there and we can grab it. And so, I think that I think there is some truth to that. But that being said, it's like, you asked a very good question during the stream about whether or not we deserve Champions League, and really the answer is no. But that being said, it's like, man, but if we win it,
that's what UEFA give you.
I'm good. I'm gladly going to take it, though.
Yeah, I get that. That's what UEFA give you, isn't it? As a prize, you've won the Europa League, you get the Champions League. I don't look. If you win the Conference League, I think giving you Europa League for winning the Conference League is a good thing, because it gives smaller clubs a chance to play in a better thing. But I think finish 17th or 16th or wherever in the league, and then qualify for the Champions League. I get it. That's how UEFA have done it. I get it. That is what you get. You win the FA Cup. You get Europa League football. I think Conference League football, if you win the League Cup, you get Europa, whatever it is. I can't remember which way is it around.
No, you're right. That's how it is. That's how it is.
I don't agree with
you
that.
win the FA, you get Europa.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree. By winning Europa League, you should be able to stay in the Europa League and defend that trophy because you're getting into the Champions League through the back door. And if you haven't performed well in that season in your league, and you say you got relegated and you won the Europa League, you're a championship side playing in Europe. Now, I'm not saying that's not going to happen.
Awesome, though. By the way, that's awesome.
But I'm using that as a
Can you imagine the workload
that could happen?
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine the workload? Instead of playing 38 in the Premier League, you're playing 48 in the Championship, plus cup competitions, plus Europa League. Holy crap! That's a workload.
It is.
So, Night of Republic, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on. You want to read this one out? Go on, man.
I'm constantly on. It's constantly on to the next game all the time. Never the here and now. I just stated that for me, at least, my eyes are wide open. I know exactly how bad it is right now. Ange is so bad in the Premier League, he should leave and go back to Scotland. No disrespect. I will say this, that I don't think Ange is over his head. I think, me personally, I think Ange, because he wasn't Spurs' first choice, I think Ange was the third choice.
Yeah.
And I think bringing him in was actually more out of what's the word I'm looking for? Desperation than anything else. And I think that he was sold a bill of goods. It's called a bait and switch. I think Ange had stipulations before he took this job that there are certain requirements that have to be met in order for him to succeed. And I think Spurs said, yeah, we'll do that, and then pivoted on him and gave him kids. And now he's left trying to hold the bag for a youth movement that he probably didn't want. I will say this, that I do think Ange Postecoglou is more than capable of competing at the Premier League level. And if he went to a team, like let's say that he went to Fulham, or let's say that he went to Bournemouth, or let's say he went to Everton.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that Ange Postecoglou would get them. Ange Postecoglou at a club like that with no pressure, he probably gets them deep in competitions and probably overachieves and gets them a Europa League spot or a Conference League spot at one of those clubs. I actually think Ange Postecoglou is a very good coach. I just think he went to a bad situation with Tottenham Hotspur that had no plans on actually backing him. And this is the result when you're not properly backed. 100%.
Yeah. Can I say Ange has played Bodo Glimt before, by the way, as Celtic manager?
At Celtic, yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to know the scores of that game?
Hit me.
Bodo Glimt beat them 5-1 in aggregate. They beat them 2-0 away and they beat them 3-0 up. Yeah. Celtic at home.
I'm not, by the way, I'm not under any illusions. I know that Ange's Europe record has been spotty at best when he was with Celtic. Yeah. But that being said, it's Celtic, though, right? Yeah. And compared to the rest of the powers in Europe,
you leave my Celtic alone. We've just won the league. So
no. By the way, you and I love Celtic. I actually like Celtic. But the reality is like when you look at Celtic's roster compared to his counterparts in Europe, it doesn't compare.
No, I get it. I tell you, there's some players in the Celtic side I think will fit right into an Ange system in the Tottenham side, by the way. Kyogo would be one.
Yeah, you mentioned Kyogo, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like as a squad rotational player, probably.
Yeah. I think he'd be more effective than, say, Richarlison or Solanke up front because he's more of that in the box, 16 young. He can run with the ball. He's on loan, I think, in France somewhere. Big up tonight's Republic as well, man. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're all right. It'd be great to get you on the channel for a fan show. Big up Boris. It says, how many terrible results have we had? Just remind me of the Conte and Jose results. The only difference between the managers, Ange's attacking, and Jose Conte were defensive managers. Yeah, that is so true. Daniel says 100% he should be sacked before Thursday. Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just would not be surprised.
I just asked the question, and the answer I got back from our source was no news. No news is good news.
I want to pose this question to you in the chat as well, too. It's like, here's the thing. So if we win Europa League and next year we're going to have Champions League, has Ange done enough in his 2 years to deserve Champions League with Spurs? Has, like, from one context, you have to ask yourself, like, he's been running cover for the incompetents above him, right? Daniel Levy, Johan Lang, Scott Munn. He is the one that's sitting point and center every single press conference. He's asking questions that should be directed to those people. He's answering those questions. He is running cover for his bosses who have let him down, and he's protected his players. And he's the one that is on the firing line, not his players. So from that standpoint, he has garnered a lot of respect because he's the one that's taking everything off the chin. So from that standpoint, yes, that is good. But also results matter. And the question is do you think that he's earned the right to represent us in a Champions League season? I don't know. That's the question. Is like, I see the results. I see the performances and I see the results.
We broke it, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, that they would find it very hard to sack him if he did win. If he did win the Europa League. But is that enough? See, for me, it's a good question because you're torn. But Colin hits his nail on the head. I wish Colin would jump on if he's around for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's his job to do it. Yeah, 100%.
It's his job to do it, though. So if he does do his job, and also when he did, I hate this thing in the chat, right? Well, not in the chat, when the people say Ange was arrogant when he says, "Oh, I always win something in my second season." Well,
no, he was just stating fact. It's a fact.
He was stating fact. He wasn't, and people have used that narrative all season, and I'm sick to death of that narrative, by the way. Just a little. No, I am trying to keep up the latest onto Ange's press conference. What he said, there will be a video coming out. Coming out on Ange's press conference. I will get that out for you probably tomorrow, guys. I mean, there's a lot of here. It's just. I'm just waiting for just waiting for the latest to come up, but we will get to that. I just want to talk over 2 points. It was this one. Dermo, why should we feel sorry for Ange when he insults you and every Spurs fan around the world, but not owning up and admitting his mistakes? Company's ear to Spurs fans. He goes, yeah, Dermo, that's not aimed at you. So it's not aimed at us. He's just making a general point. So I big up to you, Daniel.
Well, it all depends on if you believe he would disrespect the fans by cupping his ears. I thought it was much to do about nothing in the moment, but
I guess. I think what it was, I think he was genuine when he said he wanted to hear the fans celebrate. I think he was genuine in saying that. Personally, I think it was an action that was Sky just ran with it and kept running with it. And again, it's the anti-Tottenham Sky reporting again, making something out of something that wasn't.
Yep, and Spurs fans just eat it up. Yep.
Yeah, and it's the Spurs fans that are anti-Ange and want Ange out are going to eat that up all day long. The balanced ones like us that we're angry after defeat and we will criticize Ange if he's made the mistakes, but we're back Ange when we feel he's back. And I think we're very balanced with this on this channel.
Yeah.
Though our channel was called Mediocre the other night, and we're not mediocre.
Cool.
That is for sign. I tell you one thing, we're bigger than that. Big up to Wayne. He says if the players can perform in Europe, then they should perform in the league. They have no excuse to offer it. 100%. They should
100%. 100%.
Could you imagine?
Well said, Wayne. Well said.
Big up, Wayne. Could you imagine Sir Alex Ferguson if he had a Man United team, right? Like if Alex Ferguson was in charge of this Tottenham side, right? And then players were doing that, giving up in the league and just concentrating in Europe. Would any self-respected manager, he'd be sick of it, wouldn't he? And whatever you say to them in the dressing room does not make any difference. You look at great managers, Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho. What does Ange have to do?
He has to grow some balls. He has to grow some balls and stop protecting his players. He has to go up to those players. It was individually and said, if you ever do that again, you will be dropped from the first team.
Yeah.
And if we lose Europa League, we lose Europa League, but this will not stand. Period, point blank. And not only does he have to go up to his players one-on-one and demand it, but you know what? If this continues, then you use the media to your advantage and you call out your players.
Yeah.
100%. Like the time for shielding responsibility off your players has to be over. And it's like, you're going to ruffle some feathers. But that being said, your players will respect you because they understand exactly what you're doing. The level of play is not good enough. And if you want to continue to play in my first team, you have to play hard from the opening whistle to the end. And that's it. That's it.
Gary Neville has come out. I've finally found this article now. It's come out and he's blasted Lucas Barker, which I don't agree with. He's called him pathetic during the Spurs Premier League. I think it's a bit rich coming from Gary Neville. I know he's a Premier League winner. He's won stuff. But I think there'd be other players he could have called pathetic, bar Lucas Burfield, by the way.
Well, here's the thing: if his performance warranted it, that's great. But that being said, it's like, from coming from a guy who came from the academy into a United team, you probably know better than anyone that you're developed. Not everybody develops on the same speed, but also like you had such a fortunate upbringing that you were in a United team that had unbelievable leadership. You know what I mean? That you had unbelievable leaders that you learn from, where this Spurs team does not.
Ange was asked a few bits from Ange. We'll get back to the Nice Republic. I'll get down. I got a bit of Ange's press conference. Sorry, guys. Nice Republic. Yeah. Dermo, I'll jump on, but respectfully, I'm sick of talking about Ange. I thought he was out of his depth last season. This season just shows me he hasn't got a clue. The players ain't this bad. He is. I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. Big up to Wayne Bonner. We did bring up Column's point, so big up to you, Mr. Column. Big up. He says, nope, but also Levy's transfer business doesn't help Angie. That certainly would bode well, and it wouldn't bode well in the Champions League. Stephen Thomas, big up Steve. He says they all should go. Today was a disgrace. It was. We are Spurs TV. The players don't care if the fans spend their hard-earned money to watch them. They care about how much they earn each week. Steve says, is it too late to call out the players? The players don't care about what Ange says because he is probably a dead man.
Which players? Which players, I would ask, right? Because there's going to be certain players that don't care what Ange has to say are probably not going to be here next year anyway. So what does it matter?
Exactly. Hope the away supporters get the money back from the. Yeah, I hope they do actually. And then we are Spurs TV says Levy sits there looking like a boiled eggs as the team falls apart. A little bit from that's funny. I like that one. A little bit from today. What are your thoughts on today's result and performance? He says, credit to Liverpool, worthy champions. They have been an outstanding team all year. Consistent again today. Obviously, I thought we started the game well and sort of made things difficult for them apart from the goal. I just thought in general we had a decent territory, but once they got in front with the atmosphere inside the stadium, fair to say it was going to be difficult for us to claw back, and that's how it proved. He says, how much of a concern that you seem to able to produce these performances against Frankfurt and then you change the team in the league and then ain't able to compete the same way? It's not easy. It's not easy on the players because it's again, he's protecting the players. It's not easy because of the players, on the players, because if you sort of look at Liverpool's lineup, you can almost pick it on a weekly basis. I had to make a lot of changes, but I felt it was necessary. A lot of our players have missed a lot this season with injuries. And it wasn't just about bringing them back, but the managing their minutes, because obviously they weren't ready. Guys like Mickey Romero, they could have played, but they missed so much of the season that we've got to be really careful about when we use them. Guys like Pedro and Bentancur have played a lot this year. It was about juggling act, and it hasn't been helped with the team. He was then asked, did you come through today with a clean bit of health? Yes, everyone is good. The ones who played got through it okay. So in terms of Thursday, everyone should be fine. So that's a little bit of the flavour of the press conference.
I thought everything was fine. I thought everything was fine except for him protecting his players again. And it's like, no. No. It's like, listen, the answer should be like, yeah, we had rotation, but regardless of the rotation, everybody that steps on that field has to give 110%. And they're not. And they're not.
Yeah.
Period.
They're
It's not just
I
letting
agree
me
with you.
down. Yeah, it's not just letting me down, but it's also letting Tottenham Hotspur fans that pay good money to come watch this team on the road. Yeah.
Now, there was a couple of VAR moments in the game, Steve. This is off the Premier League VAR. This is the explanation for them. The overturned VAR checked for the first Liverpool game that did the Diaz goal. Checked the referee, called off no go for Liverpool, and determined that Slodger Bochevalov, wherever I just called him. Thank you. Thank you. Having a speech impairment is a bitch, but getting words like that, I can never get them out. Was in an onside position in the build and recommended that the goal was awarded. And also in the 70th minute, the referee's call of goal was checked by confirmed by VAR with Salah in an online position. Well, we know it was an own goal anyway, so the goal would have been given. Look, we're going to finish up on this, Steve. We did get some breaking news, didn't we, at the start of this show of before the whistle, and one of them was James Maddison. Tottenham would let James Maddison leave in the summer. A bid of 50 million is met, and also 2 clubs are pulling away at this moment for signing. As a current phrase, Arsenal to sign the Tandy Bay, but hot on their heels are Tottenham Hotspur. On them 2 bits of transfer news, Steve. Let's start with Madison. After today's performance, I think he can go. I don't want them seeing him in the Tottenham shirt again.
You know what's funny is I've been saying this for months now, and I've gotten a lot of stick for it too, because a lot of fans do like James Maddison, and I understand why, because you know that there's talent in that player, but I always go back to his Leicester City days, and we can even go before that when I think he was on loan with Coventry, and the reality was that, this has always been an issue with James. Like he'll get in little purple patches where he has a couple, he'll have 5 or 6 games where he has a goal contribution, but then he'll just disappear. And that certainly has rang true with the Tottenham Hotspur. What Spurs absolutely need from a number 10 is consistency, game in and game out. Week in, week out, they need at that position. When you look at some of the best 10s in the Premier League, they all have one thing in common: they show up and they're leaders. And James Maddison, unfortunately, just does not produce at the level of what the transfer price that we paid for him, and he does not provide any type of leadership on a consistent enough make the juice worth the squeeze. 100%. If we have an ability to get Eberici easy through the door to be that next number 10, I think it would be beneficial for everyone involved. Because I think so. look at what he just did in the semifinal. Absolutely needing a win for Crystal Palace. He comes up large, scores a goal in that game. That's the thing. It's like Eberici Eze has the potential to be a big game player for this Tottenham Hotspur side. But you look at his player ratings. Go to any website that actually has those advanced metrics that gives away player ratings. You'll see the consistency across the board. There'll be times where a defense will key in on him and try to take him out of his game. But for the most part, you just see the consistency in his performances. Whereas James Maddison, it's like you just don't. Here's the thing: it's like 50 million. Might be a little steep and they might not be able to get it. But if somebody comes in at 40 or 45, you still take it. Yeah. And you admit to yourself that, what, we got this one wrong, and you move on and you replace them with somebody who's going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah. We're just going to finish off this one. Nice prop says, Madison Dermo, you have to be joking. He's our only creative player. I'd sort of doubt that. Tell me this: who has more assistance since he's joined us? Gray, Bergville. Well, Gray and Bergville are both defensive midfielders straight off, so that's where they play. I think Brennan Johnson actually has more assists. He's up there actually. But I will.
Yeah, like again, I know there's fans out there that like James Madison, but you can't sit here and tell me that Ebery Chieze would not be a better
Yeah.
improvement over James Madison. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I tell you one thing I have forgot to do, but we'll do it in the next show anyway. Guys, that is it. That is final score for Liverpool against Spurs. You will see Steve again on Friday or Thursday.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, right? Because of the work schedule, I definitely will not be a part of the before the whistle for Thursday, and during the watch along. I might be available for a post depending on what time that starts. Generally, it's usually probably going to be around 5:30 to 6 o'clock Eastern time, Eastern my time, which would be 11:30, 12 o'clock your time. I certainly wouldn't want you to stay up late just on my account. So if you get into the post match, it is what it is. And then on Friday, definitely. I think we're doing a big up show on Friday.
Yeah.
So there's going to be that, and then of course Saturday we have the Saturday morning Tottenham on Stateside Footy. And we also have the MLS live stream, which usually appears Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, depending on the game that I choose. Yesterday was a phenomenal live stream with James joined me on the live stream, and he got his first taste of Major League Soccer. A very good competitive match, which was entertaining to watch. And so that's just Major League Soccer for those that don't know. And then of course we do a lot of U.S. men's national team stuff over there as well too, as we are counting down to the Gold Cup. So there's going to be a lot of coverage there. And then of course we have the next Premier League weekend as well too. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on then.
A lot of stuff's coming up, guys. But listen, I'm not on. I'm having tomorrow off. I'm back on Tuesday. There will be, and I will do some pre-records, and they will be up tomorrow night, guys. So there will be something going up in the channel tomorrow. But we're back on Tuesday evening. Where we're going over the Liverpool game, probably slightly, but we're going to look ahead to the semi-final on Thursday, and we're going to get wrapped up for that. Well, guys, thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining us today. We've had some great numbers, all three shows today as well. Thank you all very much. It's now 10 to 8 here. I'm going to go and spend some time with Mrs. Tron and have something to eat. Steve's going to go, and I don't know what Steve's going to do for the rest of the day. What are you up to for the rest of the day, sir?
You know what? I'm just going to take care of some chores around the house and get ready and get prepared for the upcoming work week. It was a short weekend, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for joining me. James was due to join us, but he had internet issues. But I'm sure he will be back with us this week. But guys, thank you all for watching. Whatever you do, keep it Spurs. Keep it THFC until we die. Hit the like button, hit the subscription button, hit the QR code as well, the notification for our private internet access, €45 for 2 years plus 4 months free, your best VPN around. Also, hit the QR code. I will go over to Big Up and find Matchday Magic, where you'll find us over there as well. But whatever you do, guys, come on, you Spurs, in the big cockerel we trust. Now, any breaking news on Ange? Anything breaking news with Ange, if it's between now, even if it's 12 o'clock tonight, we will bring it to you live. So we might be back, we might not. But anyway, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Eyes on the prize, victory in sight with all our might. With all our might. With all our might.
Well, I quite like the